Brilliant. So hopefully at the end of this masterclass, you will learn a lot around curriculums. This is a very newly launched feature. Also learn about tracks to discover how to effectively and efficiently arrange content into tracks, and how to structure your program materials in a cohesive and logical manner. You'll also learn about forms and how to leverage them to manage data more efficiently and effectively, and how you can use various ways to collect data and analyze that information, whether you want to use forms as data collection or as examinations and so on. There is also dashboards where you're able to gain the ability to create different user experiences that are personalized for different teams. If you have a lot of content. Second last, we have groups, basically establishing mini communities using groups and exploring how you can manage different participants and also different curriculums as well. And finally, events, maximizing the impact of the events that you have, and then what crew can do to push the events forward. So we'll start with tracks first, because that is where the content lives. So basically, tracks, actions are what lives within tracks, and categories are really the core building blocks of the crew platform. And from my experience, you can use tracks in two main ways, either to host curriculum content or also to host impactful actions that people can come back and say, reflections, this is what we've been able to do, and so on and so forth. So a very quick overview of how you can navigate a track. So a track is what typically will show on your dashboard. It's these cards. It's where modules, it's where content lives. Hi, Brantil, how are you? Welcome.
I'm well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the call. So once you enter a track, actions will appear on the left-hand side. These actions can be completed by your members with the option of giving responses or reflection at the end of each action. They're able to be seen, the responses are able to be seen by members, either everyone within your community, within the team only, or by admins and coordinators, depending on whatever you choose. So for example, with the Welcome to Crew track that is on the Crew Support platform, if you scroll to the very bottom, you'll see responses and reflections of what people have been able to do. So one major function of Crew is, or one beautiful function of Crew that I really like is that it offers you a lot of categorization. So categorization helps you to arrange tracks into bundles so that you're able to really manage that effectively. And a beauty about it is that you are also able to color code different categories. So think about categories really as like your folders for your tracks. So you put stuff, or you put tracks that can be merged together into categories. So they're like your folders. And this is helpful because it will help you to easily find them in your admin controls, and also for the users to be able to sort them within the libraries. So for example, if a user comes to a library where you've built a lot of content, you have very many different tracks, categories will be shown at the top here. So within the Crew Support platform, you can see, if you click best practices, you'll find the tracks that show as best practices, build your crew course, and so on and so forth. So, to create a category, you just need to click on your tracks panel. And once you come to your tracks panel, you will see tracks and categories. We advise that you create categories first. So let me use a dummy platform for this demonstration. So assume you're a youth organization training, as just an example, training university students on something like environmental sustainability content, and you have a 10-part module curriculum, and you deal with topics from climate change and energy, environmental policy, environmental policy and governance, sustainable development goals, and so on. And, all those topics, you can distribute them into 4 or 2 or whatever number of parts that you want to call categories. So you can click on categories, and with creating categories, it's as simple as just coming and clicking on add category. You add the category name. So for example, in this case, we could add categories on environmental challenges, for example, and then you come and, color code it. You can place a color code if you have already branding, or, by using the color picker. And you can repeat this for as many categories as you'd like. It could be policy and governance. Again, choose a different color code and save, and then move on. So, that's it about creating categories. Now you have to think about creating the tracks, which is where the content and which is where everything lives. So think about tracks as bundles of activities, learning modules, resources, and tasks that are designed to invite your users to participate in your program. So for example, with the crew support platform, we have what we call the Build Your Crew course, which is a bunch of 10 tracks. And within the 10 tracks, we have learning resources, learning modules, activities that crew admins are to take to be able to make good online experiences for their users. So in, taking the use case that we've just used, for example, if you're running, a youth organization training university students on environmental sustainability content, taking that use case into consideration, you've already created the track categories. And let's assume you have a track, which is a bunch of modules or a bunch of learning activities and resources. And, one useful one could be, for example, climate change and energy. So let's try to create a track called climate change and energy. So you just need to go and click add track, and then you have a couple of things that you need to do. First of all, you have the track basics. In the track basics, you need to place the title, subtitle, category, and artwork. So a good example here would be, if you have your track title as climate change and energy, because this could be one of the modules that you could offer. Your subtitle is a high-level description of what the track is about. So I'm just copy-pasting content from what I have separately. So this will appear on the track card. So for example, this is your track card. This is the track title. Up here is the category. And then you have your high-level description, which is your track subtitle. And then you place the track in a category. This means that the card that it will appear on either on the dashboard or in the library will have the color of that category. The artwork, as you can see, Crew allows you to place different artworks for your tracks. So the artwork here could be either an image that you upload or an icon. Icons, we already have an icon library on the platform, so you could potentially use that. If you have images, you can create and design that from Canva and make that look beautiful and upload the image there as well. So these are the track basics. And then you click on create track, and then 2 more things will appear, your track settings and a track overview. So in your track settings, the first thing it will ask you is what type of track are you creating? Is it a standard track? A standard track is a normal track. It is created on Crew, curated for learning and reporting on actions. You can also create a live event. A live event is if you're looking to host a big virtual event, then Crew can allow you to host, on Crew as a separate thing. So you can also use that option to host live events. And then finally, you have a tin can track. A tin can track is an option where you can build a tin can course separately through an LMS, such as Articulate 360, and then save it as a zipped file and just upload it on Crew, and then Crew will populate that for you. The next couple of settings are pretty self-explanatory, e.g. whether it has a deadline, if you're running a course or a module that takes a couple of weeks that you want, your participants to really engage in within that timeline, then you click on that. Do you want the track card to display users' progress? This is a good example. You can see that this person has only finished 17%. If you unclick that, then, or if you say do not display progress, then they will not see that. Do you want the actions to be completed in sequential order? Do you want them, so for example, if you want them to be completed in sequential order, this means that this person must finish this track before they see, or finish this action before they see the content of the next action. The next things are whether the track is intended for teams or individuals. If you want a whole team to complete that track together, then you can select that. If you want it to be individuals only, then you can select that as well. Does this track have any prerequisites? If you have content that they need to complete before, then you can add the tracks, the prerequisite tracks there by just adding the number or the track title. You can also say, you can also check, whether this track could be visible to the public. Within the first masterclass, we talked about, having tracks available on your website. If you want that to be available, then you can make it viewable on the website. Whether the track is exclusive to groups, you can host content and curricula on groups only. So if you want a track to be exclusive to groups, then you can check this and make that track only available in groups. And then finally, you can check which teams and which roles are able to view this track. This helps you to really curate the people who you want to see certain content. If you want a certain part of your community to only view a certain different certain kinds of content, then you're able to select that. Within the track overview, this is the first page. This is the first page that will appear. So if someone clicks the track, then the first thing that will appear is the track overview. You can upload an image and you can upload some text there. So let me just add some dummy text here for the purpose of this presentation. And then we click on next. So next is the action. The action bar really allows you to add content in different forms. It is important to make an action either long enough or short enough for someone to go through that action in one sitting. The key things that appear in an action, first of all, is the action title. So an example of an action using our use case could be, the climate change science. The next thing you will be asked is your action points. If you already have a gamification strategy and that allows for points, then you can select how many points this particular user will get once they successfully complete the action. So if they complete this action, they could get either 10 or 100, depending on whatever your strategy says. The next thing is the action description. Here you have a text editor, which you can use to add text, images, videos, documents, and so on and so forth. So for example, let's add text. This could be copy-pasted from elsewhere or typed in on the text editor. So for example, type in content here. As simple as that. If you want to upload images, then you come and click on insert, /edit image. You can either use an image from a link by placing the link on that and then working on the width and height, or upload from your computer. So let's upload one, for example. There we go, and then click on save, and the image appears there automatically. You can also embed videos, slides, and so on and so forth. So let's use an example of embedding a video from YouTube. So this could be a video that you have created and posted it on your YouTube page, your Vimeo page, and so on. You just need to look for where the embed code of that video is and copy it. Go back to your editor, come and click this bracketed thing, which takes you to the source code, and then add the video wherever on the source code that feels relevant, and click on save. And as simple as that, your video is uploaded on the text editor. So you can use the text editor however you like to, format the content using the formatting tools available, add links, add images, and so on and so forth. The next couple of things that appear is, for example, action, additional resources where you can upload documents, media, or links under additional resources. Further, you have action response types where you have 4 key response types. You can use a complete button, rating, reflection, or a custom form. A complete button, and you just do that by clicking here or whatever you'd like. A complete button means that a participant would go through the content and would just click on complete, and that will mark their progress. That will mark that action as already done. You can also use a rating. A rating is where you ask the participant to rate the action. This may be useful if you want to receive feedback on whether that content was useful to them. The next thing is reflection. Is if you'd like your participants to write what they feel, what they think, you can use the reflection bar. You can also ask them to upload media, or whatever as part of their work of that action. So for example, a reflection bar will appear as something like this, where you have a prompt, and then it will prompt them to write whatever content that they need to write to be able to complete that action. So once you select whatever response type you'd like, then that, that will give you a series of prompts of the things that you may need to do. So for example, if you place on reflection, it will ask you, do you have a prompt? And if you remember yesterday within the text, or rather on the first masterclass, within the text customization panel, we placed a key reflection prompt that would appear in case you don't ask for any reflection. You can also place a custom form. And this is when sometimes you want to create a more robust, you want to receive more robust response or reflection. So you can, create a custom form which becomes the answer or the reflection of that, action. The final settings is whether that response requires admin approval. That means that the response of each participant will not appear unless an admin has approved it. And then you can also place who can view that response, whether it's everyone, team, or the person who completed that action, and the admins only. It's important to note that admins can view all the responses. Finally, you have action completion repetition. How many times can one repeat that action? Whether the action is high priority. If you mark the action as high priority, then a red button or a red dot will appear besides that action so that it pulls the attention of the user towards that action, and then whether that action has a deadline. So you need to keep, or rather repeat that process to create all the actions that you need in that particular track. So let's, for example, publish this track and then place it on a dashboard. About dashboards just shortly, but we just want to see how it would look. So we've created this climate change and energy track. If you click on it, then it will take you to the overview page. The overview page will show you the overview that we created and the actions that are available and the points that are available. So one would read that and then come and click on the action, and then the action will appear like that. So on the left-hand side will be the actions. If you have repeated that action creation process, then they will appear here. And then you have all the content that you have on the platform. In case you added any resources, they will appear on the right-hand side and so on. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the tracks panel. I will quickly move to the dashboards panel in case, unless there are any questions, which you can raise your hand for. If not, I will move to the dashboards panel because I have already preempted this. So the dashboard is really the first page that someone will see once they log in into your crew platform. So if someone clicks login, then they land on the dashboard. So a dashboard example would be with a crew support platform. This is what the dashboard appears like. What members are able to see are, first of all, the groups panel, and then the tracks panel. So if you have groups, then groups will appear. If you do not have groups, then only the tracks will appear. So it's important to curate your dashboard in a way that allows the user or allows intuitiveness of, the platform for the user. So you can, first of all, if you create a new platform, then the dummy dashboard that will be appearing will be a dashboard with all team tags and all roles. We'll speak about the difference between teams, team tags, and roles in the next masterclass. However, you can arrange your members into different team tags, different roles, different teams, and curate different dashboards using this categorization. So this is a dashboard that has been created for all team tags and all roles. And it's as easy as, changing the tracks that appear there is as easy as just moving them however you like, so that the experience is intuitive and makes sense for the user. In case tracks have been created and they need to be tracks that are already published, then you just come and click on add track. A list of tracks will show up, and then you need to click on the tracks, in a way that makes sense for you and your community. You can, once you've added more team tags, more roles, you can, change different dashboards and they will all appear here. So let's see if we can get an example. Okay, this only has one platform. Let's use the My Little Big Thing platform as an example to see what sort of dashboards they have. There we go. So this is a good example. They have different team tags. So like a team tag, like competition, for all roles, they have a different dashboard as opposed to the ones, so you can see, as opposed to the ones that have, Yali West Africa, for example. You edit, it's completely different. This means that if someone is in this team tag, whatever role they are in, they will see this as the platform. They will see this as their dashboard. So that is helpful in targeting different users with different content. One key thing that I wanted to also share is you can customize your track cards and branding to ensure that it matches your branding. So I want to show you a couple of good examples. So for example, with Free Forest School, they have used some sort of iconry to ensure that their content looks, together and very similar. This is a dashboard by Your Big Year. So it's very organized. Jolt, Texas, Believe in What You Dream, and the Convocation of Episcopal Churches in Europe. So that sort of helps in ensuring that your content looks together and is able to, work well for your people. Let's talk about groups now. Again, if there are any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or leave them on the chat. Now, groups simply are your mini communities that are available on the platform. You can, as I've shown you with the group support platform, groups appear first and then the tracks panel appear at the bottom. A moment. So groups help you to just, work with, and you can use groups in different ways. You can use groups to host curricula in the sense that you can have different curricula on the platform, and then you have, people take them within the groups depending on how they're invited and so on. So let's quickly build a group so that we can show this as an example. So groups, just like tracks, have categories. And the first thing that we'd advise you do is to create categories. So again, in our use case, you could have where you're running an environmental literacy curriculum for university students, you could have a group called Environmental Literacy 2023. Or this could be used for your alumni. This could also be used for different cohorts and so on. Again, they are also color coded, and once you save that, they will appear there. You can add as many groups as you would wish. And they will be color coded in that sense. Now, when you want to add a group, you just need to click on Add Group. Again, just like the tracks, a couple of basics: title, subtitle, category, and artwork. So let's use some dummy content here. Subtitle, again, is a high-level description, offers you a maximum of 150 characters. Place the category. You can, again, either choose an icon or an image, depending on what is available, or depending on how you have planned your branding. Then you click on Create Group. Just like the tracks, you have your overview again, which could be, a more deeper or in-depth, a bit of content on what the group is about. And then once you have done that, you can also upload an image if you wish, but ensure that if you upload an image, it fits the recommended minimum ratio or minimum size that has been recommended on the platform. And then on settings, unlike the track settings, you only have one setting that you need to select, which is a group landing page. When someone clicks a group, where do they land? Do they land on the overview? Do they land on the tracks that are available, or do they land on the conversations? So it depends with what your group is supposed to do. This helps you with the intuitiveness of the platform. So if you want them to land on the overview, which explains what the group is about, then you click on overview. If the group is supposed to help people go through a curriculum, then you click on tracks and you place those tracks within the group. If the group is supposed to be discussion oriented, then the landing page would be conversations. The next thing is host and members. So hosts are the people who are able to, moderate the group and so on and so forth. So you can, appoint a couple of hosts, and then you can also see what members you are allowing to join. So you could add members either through the roles and the teams that they have, or add them manually or by bulk invite. So it's as simple as saying the host is, say, Sam Nyamwange, because I'm the only person on this platform. And then you could say, send an invitation to email to all users who are allowed to join the group. And then you need to select what roles can join the platform and what teams as well. In case you don't want all teams, then you just come and say whatever teams you would like. And then you can also add other members, assuming that you have members with roles, members with a particular role and team that are entering a group, but then you want to add 2 or 3 other members, then you just come and add their names here. And then you can say auto admit members onto the platform, which means that they will already join the platform. Otherwise, if you don't click this, if they click on the groups on the dashboard, then it will ask them whether they want to join the group. Next. So the next couple of actions are tracks, events, and conversations. So you can host curricula again, or tracks, or your modules on groups. So this you could change depending on how you would like it to appear. So you could change it to modules or curriculum, depending on what you want. And then add a description that will guide people that this is what you're doing with this, and these are the tracks that are available. So you can add the tracks just like we added within the dashboard. That's a good example. And then you can go to events. If the group will have no events, you can click on that. If a group will have events, you can change that to say coffee chat or meet your admin, or literally whatever you'd like. And then you also add the events. So this means that you have already added events on the platform, on the events platform, and then come back and add pre-existing events by dragging and dropping them here. Since this platform has no events, then there is nothing that will show on that list. And then finally, you have conversations, which you could rename to become discussions or whatever, and then you add a description. Once you're done with that, then you need to publish the group. Automatically, the group will appear on the dashboard. So you can see, because we auto-invited, then it marks as joined. And when someone clicks the group, they're able to come and see what is the overview. And then, it prompts them to start with the tracks. And then you can come and see what members already exist on the platform, the curriculum that is available, the discussions, and finally, the events. So groups again allow you to really manage mini communities on Crew. Great. Let's move to the events panel. So the events panel really allows you to add events and host events on Crew, or rather use Crew to publicize your events. So your admin panel for events has 3 tabs. Settings, where general settings for events are set. All events, where you can see all the events that are available on your platform. And then categories. Again, just like tracks, just like groups, you need to place events into categories. I'll show you a particular use case for this. You can explore events that are available on your platform by clicking, for example, best practices. And then you can see all the events that deal with best practices. Live tutorials is another example, and so on. So depending on the categories that you have available, you can add and reduce them, just like we have done with the tracks and with the groups. The settings allow you to, place some defaults that, if your events run in a particular order, help you save some time whenever you are working, whenever you're creating events. So you can say, what roles do you want to be able to create events? A list of roles will appear, and then you can select what roles. So for example, if you don't want ordinary members to create events, then you can exclude them from that. And then other default event settings, again, a couple of descriptions have been made available. Oh, okay. That's fine, Brantil. Thank you. We shall send the recording of the call later. So other default event settings is whether you want to invite teams, whether you want to display certain settings such as invite teams, invite roles, and send invite. Again, the descriptions of what these default event settings have been made available here. So for example, with the invite teams, if you click on create an event, then invite team setting will appear. Event creators can choose and edit which teams to invite to certain events. However, if you click no, then all events will be made available. Now, what follows that are the default selections. So if you have the invite teams setting, then you have a default selection that you can have the people who normally or who you normally create events for. So those are the settings. And the next tab is all events. Under all events, you can see all the events that have ever been done on your platform. You can check this by clicking next. And finally, you have your categories. So let's quickly add a category like competition, for example. Place a color for it and save it. Simple as that. If you'd like to create an event, a couple of things will appear there. So let's, for example, create a quick event to just go through. And as an example, so it could be this admin panel, actually. Yes, let's use that as an example. So this is admin panel number 2, and it's on program management tools. You can add a description title. I'll show you an example of how that will appear. So it is what will appear here. That's the description title, or rather up here. So it's part of the admin panel masterclass series. So you come and say admin panel masterclass series. And then you need to add an event description, which is what will appear on the description side of the event. So you can copy paste that if you have created that from before, and then upload an image that again fits the requirements. You can resize that image however you'd like. Then you add the event image by uploading and resizing however you'd like. You can select what event type that event is. Is it a virtual event? Is it an in-person? If it's a virtual event, then you can add the event link. If it's an in-person event, then you can add the event location and the event address. Then you come and say, what is the event date and time? So for example, this is happening on 15th of June at 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. And then you can add the categories. You remember we created one category, so only one category is showing. And then you can say you want to disable RSVPs, whether you want volunteers to be able to sign up. Again, a sort of prompt will appear to select what volunteers and that will be made available, whether the event is for groups only. So if you want events to appear on groups only, or whether you want to invite teams and roles, which is, again, depending on the setting that you have already created within the event setting. And finally, you have what you call postpone invitations. So if you say do not send invites now, you can send invites by clicking the invite button on the event page. So for example, with this, the send invites button will appear up here, which is part of your admin options. So as simple as that, you create an event and save it. And that is how an event will appear on the platform. Cool. I would like us to end there because I think we have too little time to go through forms and curricula, which is what we can start with at the start of the third masterclass, because then next week's masterclass is relatively shorter. So we'll stop the recording now.